Hey, everybody. It's great to see you again. I am pre recording this because I got a last minute invitation to go with my cousins for a concert, free concert at the local college. So I'm going there, but I'm going to still give you my message because we want to continue the information that we're sharing. Tonight, I'm going to talk more about weight gain during pregnancy. I promised that I would do that with the last video and a couple videos ago. And this is to really help you begin thinking about what is the optimal weight gain that you should have during pregnancy. We talked about getting your BMI calculated. Have you done that yet? I don't want to check mine today. I wasn't great. I ate chips last night and I ate the whole bag. Not good. So I have to reset, recalculate, get myself back on track. I did drink lots of water today, though. That's a good thing. But anyhow, let's get started. And again, I'm doing a bit of a presentation because there's a lot of really good information and some pictures that I wanted you to see. Pictures are worth 1,000 words, correct? So that's why I'm kind of doing this, but I'm hoping that in the next week that we're going to get out of this presentation thing and start being out, what they call out in the field and talking to real people and getting more inputs around this. I'm hoping to have some dads come in on a part of this. Men are so critically important. And just kind of, have some really good discussions. We haven't even gotten into things such as how much does it cost to have a baby? We haven't talked about that yet. And we want to get into all these different options that we talked about before: birth center, home birth, hospital. You have options. You don't have to be in the hospital if you are doing having a relatively normal pregnancy. So, but meantime, let's get into our presentation and content for tonight. So, how much should I gain and why? So, let's talk about this. Here I did it again, kicked myself out. Just letting you know, there's a glossary of terms. I'm not going to go through all of these terms, but I always like to talk about medical terms and then put it in everyday talk so we can relate. You'll hear these terms when you go in for prenatal care. And even if you are in the hospital, you're going to hear all these terms. And I want you to know what these terms mean. We're going to talk about the BMI, the body mass index. Gestation is actually the period of time from the time your baby is conceived until the time the baby is born. Gestational age goes by the number of weeks. Term pregnancy, your pregnancy is term or ready to have this baby, considered around 37 weeks. That's when we start having a term baby to 42 weeks. And once it's 42 weeks, then there's the concern that the baby's really late. Preterm is if your baby is born before 37 weeks. If you were to think about this in months, 37 weeks is going to be around beginning your 9th month, okay? These are the things. Small for gestational age means that your baby is smaller than expected for the age that your baby is. Large for gestational age means that your baby is larger than what it should be for the age of the babies. I'm not going to go into this slide, but what the biggest thing about it is that there are only about 55% of women are really normal weight. Others are overweight, others are underweight. And this is important to know. I think I'm going to increase how this slide is so we can see better. And this is globally around the world. This is what this study is telling us. And so this is something for us to work on. When we look at the number of women who are overweight and obese, it is almost 40% of women. Only 7% of women are not weighing enough. So, weight is a big thing to be concerned about and to work on during pregnancy and prior to pregnancy. Why do I need to worry about this? Well, there are lifelong implications if you weigh too much or if you don't weigh enough. It doesn't just affect the pregnancy, there are lifelong implications for your baby. Nutrition during pregnancy is really, really important. It lays down the physical foundation for your baby. Keep in mind, you're growing a baby. So if you eat chips, your baby is going to have the results of constant. I'm not saying you cannot have chips. What I mean is if your diet is consisting of not good food, then it affects your baby. The other thing to know is that you are the best incubator around. We cannot make incubators like mom. And so we want to keep this baby inside of you as long as possible. We don't want to have preterm births. And so this is some of the information that I'm sharing with you tonight. So, how much weight should I gain during pregnancy? Again, it's going to be based upon your body mass index. Ooh, look at that chart. Looks crazy scary, right? Well, this is the wall chart, but you can go to this particular website. And if you look it up in Google, there are many calculators available, which I do have in the presentation. I will place that there. But there are many calculators where all you do is you put in your weight and your height, and it will tell you your body mass index. It is going to be the determining factor for how much weight you should gain during pregnancy. So if you're underweight, it would be recommended for you to gain between 28 and 40 pounds. If you are normal weight, around 25 to 35 pounds. But if you are overweight and obese, then that is going to go from maybe only 11 pounds in your pregnancy to no more than 25 pounds during your pregnancy. So that's something to really, really think about. What is your weight prior to pregnancy? What is your weight on that first prenatal visit? Obesity has gotten really crazy in our country. And we have even broken down obesity to 3 different categories. So if your BMI is 30 to 34.5, it's recommended that you may not gain except for maybe 5 to 15 pounds. If your BMI is anywhere from 35 to 39.5, it's suggested that you gain less than 10 pounds. And if your BMI is over 40 or 40, that you just keep your weight constant. Your pre-pregnancy weight, you keep that constant. Doesn't mean that you're not eating. It means that you're eating well. You're not eating stuff that's going to put on more calories than your body requires. So where does the weight go? I worked with teenagers and I taught in our clinic, we taught the teenagers to be very involved in their health care. We taught them how to weigh themselves. We taught them how to dipstick their urines. We taught them how to write their information on their own charts, because I believe that the more engaged you are with your own health, then you'll take better responsibility and care of your health. And I would also say to them, and I also, not only the teenagers that I've taken care of, but also other moms, if you're gaining more than 25 to 35 pounds, then it's going to be you, and you after this pregnancy is over. As you can see, we can account for about 28 to 31 pounds in regard to the changes happening in your body. Baby is between 7 to 8 pounds. It's possible to be a little heavier. The placenta, up to 2 pounds after birth, the placenta. The bag of waters, the amniotic fluid, 2 pounds. The uterus itself, 2 pounds. The breast tissue is going to enlarge to get you ready to feed your baby, to breastfeed your baby, 2 pounds. We talked about the blood increasing by about 40 to 50% during pregnancy. That actually puts on an additional 4 pounds on you. And then the fluids in the maternal tissue throughout your body, an additional 4 pounds, and some fat stores. And the fat stores are there. So, again, after your baby is born, you're still eating within a set caloric amount. These fat stores are providing that fat for you as you breastfeed your baby. You don't have to eat for two. That's the idea I want people to get rid of. How many calories a day? Well, 3,500 calories is equal to 1 pound. And so if we look at how many calories over a week, if we're going to look at gaining a pound a week, that means about 500 calories every day. It's not a lot. What does that mean? It is equal to a sandwich and a glass of milk is your 500 calories per day. That would be whole milk. And then a sandwich. That's 500 calories for the day. If you are carrying twins, then of course you would need a larger intake. What happens if I'm gaining too much weight or if I'm overweight? Then what we want to do is to really look at this. If you gain too much weight or you're overweight prior to the pregnancy, you can actually have trouble becoming pregnant. You want to have this baby, you're trying to get pregnant. Being overweight, obese can be a problem. It may take you longer to get pregnant. You have an increased risk of miscarriage. You have an increased risk of developing what's called toxemia or preeclampsia, and also diabetes during the pregnancy. In labor and delivery, you could end up having a longer labor, and we talked about prolonged labor being a setup for hemorrhage. There would be the need to use internal monitors because we're not able to use the monitors on the outside of your body to monitor the baby well. Things such as cesarean section risk is higher, and problems with what's called shoulder dystocia, where the baby's shoulders, because the baby is also big, can get stuck, and that is very difficult. I want to see what happens when mom is overweight. Often what we will do is have what's called a large for gestational age baby, and that red circle shows you that this baby is over the recommended size for a baby. This is what can happen. The effect on the baby is hyperglycemia, meaning that the baby's blood sugar is too high. There can be trauma when the baby is being born. It can affect the baby by having long-term obesity for that child because of the weight that mom gained during pregnancy, overweight, obesity. And daughters that are large for gestational age, or what we call macrosomic, are more likely to be obese and deliver larger babies. The long-term effect on mom is that she herself, this is what I think happens with women, that they themselves keep this weight on. And then what happens with the next pregnancy is that weight continues on. Diabetes can be developed later in life, and also the possibility of repeat cesarean section. What happens if I'm underweight or I don't gain enough weight? Then again, this can contribute to your difficulty with getting pregnant. You also are more prone to have your baby before the gestational age, 37 weeks, and your baby can be small for gestational age. When mom is underweight, then your baby is in the lower 10%, less than 10% of what the normal weight should be. If you're underweight, your baby can have problems with oxygen levels at birth. trouble staying warm because the baby doesn't have the fat stores that give the calories to help the baby to stay warm, breathing problems, more problems with infection, nervous system problems. Long-term effects can be cerebral palsy, blindness, developmental delays where your baby is not developing on time. These are things that can happen when you're underweight. So what we'll do is look at what you can do, and then we will complete for tonight. We talked about the pre-pregnancy and preconception visit. That's the most important thing. You can begin to see where your physical exam, look at your BMI, have the blood work done, and then have better eating habits and get to your optimal weight, and also begin taking really good vitamins prior to becoming pregnant. So thank you so much. What we will do is continue with this a little bit tomorrow. We'll talk more in regard to vitamins. So thank you so much, and nutrition. Thank you. Bye-bye.